Hello and welcome to an episode of the Best Automatic. I'm your host, Captain Pervert.
And I'm your host, Captain Gorgeous.
And I'm your host, Captain Know-It-All. So, as you might remember, the previous few episodes we've been on a very serious debate about a certain car. Now, we might have got inspired by another very popular professional car program.
What was that?
Well, obviously Top Gear, wasn't it? You know, with Jeremy Clarkson, James May and, Richard Hammond.
Yeah.
Well, you know, they had subjects, didn't they? Very serious subjects.
Well, yeah, we know that.
Well, here's an example.
Now, when most comedians come actors, make it to the big time, they buy themselves a big time car. Rowan Atkinson, for instance, bought himself a McLaren F1. Steve Coogan got a Ferrari 355. Norman Wisdom, no, forget that one. Anyway, our guest tonight, when he made it to the big time, he bought one of these. Are we ready? Right, here we go. Look at that. It is a Vauxhall Cavalier convertible. Apparently this guy was devoted to making people laugh even when he was on his way to the supermarket. Shall we meet him? Ladies and gentlemen, Harry Enfield. What in God's name possessed you to buy one of those?
It's absolutely lovely car, very reliable motor, the Cavalier. But I did feel like a bit of a, because I'd sort of become slightly famous, and you find yourself, it's the only convertible I've had go up to the lights in the middle of London, because I've always lived in London. You're sort of in the lights, and you've got the roof down, and there are people crossing the road in front of you, and they look in, and they see you, you, ain't that loads of money? And you're just stuck there because the light's red.
Oh look, here there's a magazine, the convertible correspondence for the Vauxhall Cavalier Convertible Owners Club.
Great.
You appeared in this, and this is my favourite bit, under famous owners. An occasional feature. They haven't been able to find anyone since he's got one, and you said it was better than a BMW.
Did I?
Yeah.
Well, I think it is. It's better than a BMW. What fine head. Yes.
Which bit of it did you think was better than a BMW?
Well, I think I thought the price was better than a BMW.
Fair point.
Probably.
Interestingly, when you decided that it was time to part with the Vauxhall Cavalier convertible, you were getting even more famous at the time. You went backwards and bought a Rover 200.
Yes, I did.
Again, what in God's name possessed you to do that?
Because most work in our industry is done in Soho, and there was a shop in Soho that sold Rovers. So I went in there and bought the Rover.
Forgive me, Soho, it's close to Park Lane, on which, from memory, there's Aston Martin, Jaguar, BMW, Lexus, McLaren, and so on, and so forth.
Right.
You could have gone to any one of those shops, not to the Rover one, and bought a Rover 200, which
Well,
was
the Rover was in Soho, and they're about half a mile away, and then...
So is this why you swapped the Rover for a Metro?
Yeah, same way.
When you were going around to see Rowan Atkinson or whoever at the time, in your Cavalier or your Metro or your Rover, did they say, Harry, and take you on one side, maybe try to give you some advice?
No, they're afraid, but in fact, I did actually have one once, and I never talk about sort of saying, but I do have a abiding memory in my head of driving around to Rowan's house. It sounds very showbizy, but it's the only time it's ever happened. And Robbie Coltrane was there, and Stephen Fry and Hugh Laurie, and they all had nice cars. Mm-hmm. And I arrived in my Cavalier, and they were all outside. It was a nice day, and they were all talking about each other's cars. And they looked at me, and I looked at them, and no one ever mentioned it. Just no one ever mentioned it.
There's nothing you
No
can
one
say.
ever mentioned the car. None of them ever.
Anyway, what have you got now?
Now we've got a Mercedes Estate. Yes.
Very
Nice. It's very small, and it's too small. And my wife's got a Mini. Very good.
Have you seen this?
Yes, I want that car. It's called a Volvo.
I want
It's
that
got
car.
7 seats, and
Oh, there's a picture of it on the
look,
screen.
That's a Volvo, because I'm not allowed to drive, because my wife likes to drive. So I have to sit in the other thing, and at the moment I sit in a car like this with an airbag here. This one, it looks very big. I either want this or the BMW one, which we tried out. It's fantastic.
No, you don't.
It's great. It's
I
fantastic.
assure you, you don't
It's the
want it.
ideal car for my wife to drive, because she's got blonde hair and we live in Notting Hill, and that's the car that people drive.
You're not just here to chat today.
Aren't I?
No, because earlier today, we had you doing some work.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. You see, the thing is, every week we are going to run an item called a star in a reasonably priced car. We got the star, obviously. What we then needed was a reasonably priced car. Now, we talked to Hyundai, they said no. We talked to Nissan, they said no. We talked to Daewoo, they said no. Then we talked to Suzuki, and they said sure. Heveliana, £9,995 on the road. In fact, it's over there. There it is. And what a beauty it is. The most beautiful car I've ever seen. And what we're in the world. Absolutely. And the idea is that every week our star will take that round our test track, see how fast he or she can do it, and then we'll post that time on a board, and at the end of the series we'll be able to name Britain's fastest celebrity. Trouble is, of course, we weren't going to let you go out first of all. I had to try it with the other guys, and this is what happened. It's a speedo we did 27 before we beat. 34 miles an hour. No, look at this, it's going well. I once drove a super tanker that was a bit like this.
Really? Similar sort
We're going off, we're going off, we're off the track.
Have a bit of track with us there, which is a paint job.
Anyway, we got the tracking fixed, and the gearbox, and I posted a time, even with Big Jason in the back, of 1 minute 50 seconds. Now, we're currently cutting your lap in the edit suite. We'll be showing it later. How fast do you think you might have done it?
I don't know.
You don't know?
But it was very fast.
Was it? Right, I
Yeah.
can't remember what comes next. Oh, I know. We're going to see if we can get that car to go through a speed camera. We're going to try and beat a speed camera.
So do you want me to stay here or go?
No, have a seat, roll your sleeves
Right.
up. Would you like a drink?
Yeah.
Chill.
So you can gather it was a very chilled out intellectual program, but obviously criticised about people having convertibles. Now, as you all know, we've been establishing about the convertible and certain ways of very famous convertibles, like doing the difference of would you have a pink one or would you have a blue one. Very consumer advice. We are trying our best to establish which one you would prefer.
But we were following an example of that great program Top Gear. So here's a bit more information they give out because we're getting criticised a lot.
Oh, shut up!
Now, the day after I drove this, I did what any normal man would do. Went home, bought a copy of Auto Trader, locked myself in the smallest room for about 3 hours and tried to find one for sale.
Best game in the world.
You got a subscription. I think,
Yeah, did you give yourself a
Auto Trader.
budget? You have to give yourself an imaginary budget, right? I've got
Rather
10
too
grand.
small as it turned out, but we'll come on to that.
Well, how much?
Well, a good one, I thought, 5 or 6 grand. Actually, 5 or 6 grand is the starting price for a half decent one. If you want a really good one, you're looking at 10 or even 11. For one like this, which is completely mint, who knows?
Yeah, but it is bloke-tastic, and that's second-hand Mazda MX-5, Matty, and I think that's got a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
All right, then what else we got this week?
Now, if you went to a BMW showroom, what do you think the chances are that you could pick up a good deal on a 3 Series?
None at all.
None at all, exactly right. Now, Jaguar, on the other hand, this is quite interesting. They have the X-Type, which is the small Jaguar 3 Series rival. Now, Jaguar has sort of rather overdone it with the X-Type. They've got a new factory to build it. They've doubled their capacity, and they're just piling up. In fact, they've even had to shut the factory down for a couple of weeks. There are so many X-Types out there. So, deals. Now, the one I found was the 2.5S. This has got the good suspension, and it's with the manual gearbox, which we like in that car. The list price is 22,200.
Is this a four-wheel or a two-wheel?
This is four-wheel drive. This is not that little
That's still
cheap
four-wheel.
entry level. Yeah, this is the
Yeah.
four-wheel drive one. That's 22,200 list price. Found it in a car supermarket for 18,799. But I'm also very, very confident that if you went in there all guns blazing, you could probably get that for close to 18.
So you're saving about, what,
4 grand, let's say, 4 grand.
And that's about Mondeo money.
Well,
How
that's
much-
just
it's the same
2 grand
car.
cheaper.
It's the same car.
Well, it is underneath, it is the same car, but this is now £2,000 cheaper than the top Mondeo, the Gear S, but it's got a Jaguar badge.
That's a very good one.
Now let's talk about a sports car. the Vauxhall VX220. Now, there's a new turbo version of this out, and there are a few deals on that. I've seen sort of £1,000 off, but I'm not so interested in that. I want to talk about the original 2.2 16-valve model.
Still a good car.
Fantastic car. What you probably don't know is this is actually built for Vauxhall by Lotus. They've got a contract to do it. When Vauxhall set that contract up, they sort of overestimated what the demand for this car would be. But Lotus isn't going to stop building them because they've got a contract, and that's how they make a living, frankly, so Vauxhall have got to sell them more quickly. So there's an official deal on the 2.2 16-valve. Pay the list price, £22,995, and you will get all the options off the list for free. So that's carpets, metallic paint, CD player, leather seats, everything. It's good. It's £2,500 worth of stuff, but it doesn't include the removable hardtop, which is actually the thing that you really want. But I did find a dealer who said, okay, I'll throw that in as well. So we've now got, what, £3,700 worth of options for nothing. Better still, I eventually shopped around, I found a dealer and he just said, I'll give you £4,500 off that car. So that's £18,500 for a VX220, which isn't bad. And to be honest, I've got some carpet you can have in the loft.
You can have it free.
It's beige, but you can have it anyway.
No cost option.
So you'd be thinking the Vauxhall VX220 is quite an interesting vehicle, but I wonder how Richard Hemming might think about it.
In this programme, when it comes to suggesting alternative cars, we're usually very good about money. We don't get cheeky and start pushing you over budget. But just this once, I want to, because this is really special. It's a Vauxhall VX220. It's on a Y plate, but it's an ex-demo. It's basically brand new with under 200 miles on the clock, and it is 18,000, which is, I know, £3,000 over your budget, but it is very special. Whereas the other three cars are lovely little roadsters. This is every inch a proper sports car. In case you don't know already, the VX220 is basically a Lotus Elise underneath, rebodied in what many consider to be a far prettier shape. Its 2.2 litre Vauxhall engine is mounted in the middle, and it is designed to be the closest thing you'll get to a race car on the road. Above all else, it is a proper, no compromises sports car. Well, there's not a lot, but there is some luggage space. I mean, there's room if you're off for a weekend for you and a pair of socks and pants, I suppose. But it's not about this anyway, it's about this bit. The engine, and it's very good at that. Besides, believe it or not, there are actually sports cars out there with less luggage space than this. Incredible. I mean, it's practically an estate car. Thing is, you are going to have to accept that even though you are spending more money, you're going to get less. I mean, there's no stereo, no power-assisted steering, no electric windows, no air conditioning, no very much at all, really. In fact, it's not even easy to clamber into and out of, and it's certainly not a dignified process. But, once you're in, even stationary, it feels exactly right. Pin sharp, a sports car. Get the thing going and it's the real thing. This is not a toy.
Obviously, the main decision will be Jeremy Clarkson's opinion about the Vauxhall VX220.
Vauxhall. But don't be put off, because this little VX220 here is made in the same factory as the Lotus Elise, by the same people, using basically the same parts. As a result, you might expect it to be the same as the Elise, but it isn't. It's better. Look at the way the Lotus goes through this corner. It's all safe and steady understeer. Now look at the Vauxhall. It's the back that's letting go. So it handles better than the Lotus, and it goes better too. The Elise may now be available with all sorts of tweaked motors, but they're all more expensive than this, and none is quite so powerful. It has a turbocharged 2-litre engine, and that means 200 brake horsepower. And that in turn, because it weighs virtually nothing, means 0 to 60 in 4 seconds. 4 seconds! Nothing! No other mainstream car on earth for this kind of money even gets close. It's still as nimble as you'd hope, but there's a muscularity to the engine that you just don't expect. If I may liken the Elise to a wasp, this is a hornet. It's an epic track day car, but it works well on an everyday basis as well. And it's a convertible, and the word Vauxhall doesn't appear on it anywhere.
So there you have Jeremy McClarkson's opinion about the VX220. Now, we don't have one in our game, so the closest thing was obviously we used this.
Oh, listen to that noise. Oh, that's fantastic. And then there's the styling. Have you ever seen such an amazingly funky little car? There's so much power and grip. Grip's unbelievable. Okay, let me show you. Build it up to 4,000 RPM. Dump the clutch. No wheel spin at all. That's how much traction you've got. It catapults you back into this world of G-force and noise.
Imagine watching the entire French Air Force crash into a fireworks factory. That's how much of a laugh this car is. So how on earth have they turned a foggy cappuccino into a pint of super strong espresso? Well, part of the secret is to be found under the bonnet. See, in a normal Clio, this is where you'd expect to find the engine. But in this, they've fitted a carry cot for your baby. The problem is, you can't put children on the back seats because there aren't any. All the space is taken up with the enormous 3-litre V6 engine. So, what about the boot? Well, I'm afraid that's only big enough for a kipper. If, therefore, you have some shopping, what I suggest you do is, throw it away. This is such a bloke's car. You start with a practical, sensible family hatchback, then fill it full of engine. And who cares that you have to put the baby under the bonnet?
There are one or two other drawbacks as well, like for instance the lever to adjust the backrest of this seat is down here. You have to be a proctologist to reach it, which I'm not.
Oh, and it's the least manoeuvrable car on the road. Oil tanker captains have been heard to say that their ships have the turning circles of Clio V6s. Life in this is a never-ending stream of 3-point turns.
Then there's the equipment. You get an airbag, air conditioning and a cabin full of air. It's not much really for £27,000.
However, this is as mid-engine as a supercar. It sounds like a supercar. It goes like a supercar. So on that basis, it becomes the bargain of the century. It'll do 155 miles an hour and out-accelerate the Porsche C4S that we looked at earlier. I think it's fantastic, but there is one more test that needs to be done.
You see, Renault has been putting big engines in the back of little hatchbacks for years. They did it with the 5 and they did it with the first Clio, and both these cars had a reputation for being savage beyond the limit. They just used to spin. So, to find out whether this one is any better, I've got to go out there and drive round corners much too quickly. Time therefore to take one of my special Brave pills. Right.
We know it's got high levels of grip, but what happens when you exceed them?
Well, you get plenty of understeer to sort of remind you that you're getting close to the limit, but that's okay. I've had my Brave pills. I shall push on. I think the problem is that it's French. It's a surrender monkey. Oh, here we go again. So you see, if you show it a difficult corner, it just sort of gives in, sits in a cloud of its own smoke with its hands up. I don't want to go around this corner fast. I want to go home and make love and make cheese. That's what I like doing most of all because I'm French.
So obviously previously, as we saw Captain Gorgeous driving that vehicle, he was test driving it at the airport. But later on, we caught him doing stuff like this.
What?
Are you trying to emulate the James Bond stunt, are you?
What you mean?
Well, it looks like you're trying to ski on two wheels with a motor car, and we all were talking about James Bond and them episodes, and we were educating you about, you know, James Bond is known for, you know, driving on two wheels most of his films and that.
Well, yeah.
Well, you all might be driving that car, not be driving it on two wheels, were you?
I couldn't help it. You know, it was tempting.
Yeah, but you whinged about it when we got you to do it with the Mustang and all that lot, right? Because if don't forget, previous people might not know what happened, do they?
Well, if you didn't see that episode, they won't know, will they?
Well, we'll do previous if they're watching this, right? Sorry everyone, right?
Diamonds Are Forever 1971 movie starring the one and only Sean Connery as James Bond again, and Jill St. John as Tiffany Case, who has rented a red Mustang from McAllen International Airport in Las Vegas, where her and Bond White, one of Blofeld's henchmen. This Ford Mustang is a special performance option of the Mach 1 introduced by Ford in 1968, and then discontinued in 2004 for the 5th generation Mustang. Classed as a muscle car, aka pony car, to attract young buyers, but had to compete with the GM, the Chevrolet, the Camaro, the Pontiac Firebird, a 2-door V8 or 3 or 4-speed manual or 3-speed automatic. Due to Mustang's Mach 1 success, Made GT model discontinued and obsolete in 1969, following poor sales of only 5,396 units versus 72,458 for the Mach 1. Mustang didn't wear the GT badge again until 1982. In Bond, this car is a hardtop, but was available as a convertible, and the iconic functional shaker hood option that shakes above the V8 rambling, and its interior options up to Bond quality of teak wood grains detailed and sport bucket seats. One of the Bond's most iconic stunts was the car chase in Vegas, where Bond takes the wheel and takes full advantage of the available V8 in 5.8.
So, Captain Gorgeous, do you remember that then?
What?
Well, that conversation she had, and this, this footage we caught you doing as well.
Am I on interrogation or something? Are you spying on me?
Well, no, I wasn't spying on you. I was spying on somebody else, right? What, you were playing James Bond or something? Well, I was trying to do my James Bond special with our not-so-tame racing driver. Not the other racing driver, but the not-so-tame one, right? The one and only, the Gimp.
But everybody knows who the Gimp is. It's a substitute of that classic program Top Gear, the Stig.
Well, yeah, but we've got two drivers, haven't we?
Oh, you mean like Abby, ain't it? What was in the Grand Tour? Yeah, we got two drivers, aren't we?
And they're sort of competing on our best automatic test track, like they did on Top Gear, because they had theirs, didn't they?
Well, yeah.
So, getting back to Captain Gorgeous's escapades we caught when playing on the game, because as you all very well know, if you've been watching previous episodes, that I have been trying to do James Bond specials, and obviously I am on a limited budget.
Well, Yeah, we do know that's why you use GTA 5 footage.
Yeah, because you tried to emulate Dr. No, didn't you? Well, yeah, as you see, we mentioned on that episode about James Bond's first ever car chase, and we obviously, I think James Bond should have drove a different car.
Like what?
Well, as you know, it was the Sunbeam Alpine he drove, and obviously we discussed that he should drive the Tiger, wasn't it? Well, yeah, but obviously we've got the Shelby Cobra, because that's in the game, and that's why.
So why are you watching me on GTA then?
Well, you might be doing something else, weren't you? And you were doing this, weren't you? Now, you told Mr. Know-It-All that I didn't explain stuff correctly to you, that you didn't know what you were doing. But why are you doing that?
So what are you trying to get at?
Yeah, why are you going up with this? Well, look, pay attention, right? Because when I did my James Bond special, I'm trying to explain that he said he didn't really know what he was doing, but it was easily explained. That's my defence.
Windsor Cleveland engine, or the 6.4 litre V8 engine, or I'm hoping is a full 7 litre, is a Ram Air Cobra Jet Super Cobra Jet V8. That sounds amazing. I believe it was that one. But this is the car where he goes on to 2 wheels, because he goes racing down Fremont Street, but gets away down a ferry note alleyway by riding it out on 2 wheels. This film car had a red exterior, maybe matching the Bond girl's red hair appearance, with unusual black and red interior, and on the set the movie plate was CA52H6.
Who's that? She knows her car knowledge. Did she sort of help the ratings for the best automatic with all that car knowledge?
Well, her name is Miss Broker, but she's disappeared, I think, because of Mr. Pervert over there.
Oh, well, you might she disappeared because of me, alright? Because my name's Miss Pervert, don't mean I did anything, alright? Here, I've got a bloody bun with you, mister. You gorgeous over there, right? Because I will still watching you. Yeah, he's still keeping his reputation of his name, isn't he?
Yeah, pervert, watching me.
Well, somehow, somebody what didn't pick up the knowledge about James Bond, and as you heard Miss Broker, she's very easily explaining stuff. Do you agree on that, Mr. Know-It-All? Well, technically, yes I do actually. Yes, she was. Well, somehow, he told us on the previous episode, not that long ago, right, that he didn't understand what was going on in the film Diamonds Forever with the red Mustang. But some reason, he had this lovely green Mustang with the white racing stripes. All of a sudden, he has it changed to a new paint job.
Right, so people changed the colour of their vehicles. There's no crime in that.
Well, later on, what did you do when you went to the airport again?
Yeah, well, alright, could you show me and talk about images of James Bond? It's interesting.
Yeah, you gotta admit that, you did do a James Bond special, and it will be aspiring to people. Well, yeah, but the thing is though, Mr. Captain Know-It-All, is the point of, you might not notice something, but Captain Gorgeous here must really know what I'm getting at now, right? Because we might be seeing him crashing his car and trying to replicate a stunt he didn't actually understand he was doing the first time on his James Bond special with me and Miss Broker. But somehow I lent him my car, right? And somehow, if you see, that car definitely looks like what Miss Broker explains.
They're very similar. The Mustang Boss 302 is very similar in features to this GTA car. The real 1969 and 1970 production, and then they produced it again in 2012 and 13. Both were done in Michigan production lines, the retro one in Dearborn and 2000 at Flat Rock. Both kept Larry Shinoda's design for this 2-door 5-litre Roadrunner V8, a 2012-13 model, and the 5-litre Boss 302 V8. Both are manual for true petrol heads. 1969 and 17 was a 4-speed, and 2012 and 13 was a 6-speed. Back to the original 1670 model has a very interesting history, because the rivalry between Camaro and Mustang cars. The company Chevrolet Camaro was a branch of General Motors, but so was Ford at the time, based in Detroit, but again still a branch of General Motors. The Chevrolet branch or General Motor Company, but in the 60s and 70s it still was a hot internal rivalry, became legendary. Chevy Mustang sales Cold War, as I see it. This still goes on today, like the Q3 2019 Challenger outsells Ford Mustang due to Mustang's decrease of 12% of interest in United States, Brazil, Mexico and South Korea. The modern Mustang is popular in Europe despite this Ford stock rise 1% in May 2020, despite its current situation with all car companies, where most stock has decreased like the giant General Motors that Chevrolet is still part of. So again, who's really winning between the two? Chevrolet sales, but Ford in stock value is winning. The car industry has always been volatile, but certainly is not at the time of this video. Ford getting ideas of investing in Ford's stability over GM at the moment. Remember, this volatility could end at any point, or it could carry on. So I wouldn't take that as stock advice from the Best Automatic.
I always had a bit of suspicion about the Boss one. I mean, it's my iconic car, but one thing I don't like is where the shape of the headlights have been on it. I mean, they look like they stick out. Not that initiative of the other Mustangs with the headlights.
What are you on about?
Well, you know, the lack of the motor. Anyhow, I bet that car's not that good going on 2 wheels.
What do you mean going on 2 wheels?
Well, that's our challenge today. That's what Bond does with Mustangs. He drives them on 2 wheels.
And you're moaning about the headlights, but now we've got to drive these cars on 2 wheels. Is that what you're saying?
It's Bond's world famous for.
The headlights aren't going to make a difference to going on 2 wheels.
Yeah, but you can't admit, they do that funny with the headlights. It doesn't got that same character to it.
Yeah, but some people like that.
It does like that, a bleeding Camaro with summer.
No, we're not bothered. I want to know why we're driving on 2 wheels for.
Oh, bleeding hell, we're going to show me the clip.
So you can gather, Captain Know-It-All, we showed him the clip. Well, yeah, but you know what that reminded me of? The episode of maybe Top Gear or the Grand Tour. I remember surely it was them 3. They were driving Mustang Bosses. One was in a 429, the 302 obviously, and the 351 as well. And they were trying to put them on 2 wheels. I think they actually destroyed them. So there might have been a little bit of upsetness about, you know, Americans seeing these classics getting destroyed and that. Well, yeah, it wasn't like British thinking that, you know, just taking a mockery out of the vehicles and destroying them and that. Well, yeah, so they were nice classics, but it was a shame to actually see them cars getting totally destroyed in that episode. Yeah, it was.
I can't remember that.
Well, you can keep quiet, you, because obviously...
Why?
Well, you might have not seen that episode, it might be because it was banned or whatever, but the thing is, you should be banned, not driving my boss, driving on 2 wheels or whatever.
You let me do it before.
Yeah, well, not with my permission, but not now, was it, you sly bugger? That's what I'm trying to get at with you, because who else knows about using my car on GTA?
What do you mean?
Well, everybody what knows the show knows that I have my own personal 10-car James Bond garage, and you helped yourself to one of my vehicles out of that garage
and so did someone else, the one and only. Yeah, you see it, the Gimp on it did this to my car. That's what I'm annoyed about, what?
Yeah, but maybe the Gimp is doing that because, you know, the circumstances, what's been happening, you know, on our episodes.
That is no excuse, right? Because we introduced another racing driver, right? And it's like that episode it wasn't happy about, you know, when we were talking about, you know, Princess Bubblegum, you know, that icon on that classic game GTA 5.
Yeah, but not a lot of people like Princess Bubblegum because she's a typical stereotype that my mum doesn't like.
So why's your mum got a problem with Princess Robot Bubblegum then?
Well, she says that she's more or less give the wrong impression of ladies, and she doesn't like the image of her.
Right, but what about, you know, we'll drive around in Sultans and all that lot, and we can give that, you know, that image, and what would your mum think about on, you know, our latest, Time Racing driver?
Well, I don't know. She hasn't come out with any of her opinions on her yet.
Whoa, anyhow, we want to see what she was like, you know, in that previous episode. We'll show images of how she was on the Best Automatic Test track with racing.
Yeah, this was the very first time, Miss Takeaway, isn't it? And she is a team racing driver, isn't she?
Well, yeah, I think she's right speaking that, but, you know. But, yeah, both of these online players, obviously, you know, they must be very new on the track, obviously. She was, and, she's driving Sultan, you know, little Princess Robot Bubblegum, you know, car, and, she does have some difficulties of, spinning out, and then she's finding obstacles are in her way, like walls and stuff, you know. I mean, we haven't got much safety barriers around on this bit as well, so driving on the dirt isn't really best, performance, is it?
Yeah, but if I remember rightly, right, she wasn't really good on the tarmac because she totally loses the race. Look, there, she just lost all traction and all that lot.
Yeah, but could you do any better? Like we said, you know, for a first time, we've got to give her gratitude, didn't we? Because we know what she does later on with this vehicle, and she gets a lot better, doesn't she?
Well, yeah, but a time on this one was a bit bad, wasn't it?
Well, I think for our very first time on a new track and all that lot, everybody isn't that good, are they? I mean, we've got to grant this online player, we'll get their name on to sort of name and shame Miss Takeaway, but we've got to grant her it was her very first time.
But it wasn't too bad though, was it?
Well, no. So, as you can see on here, as we know now, that she was going to have another race with another online player, but somehow they must have backed out, but we haven't realised this just yet, did we, right away?
Well, no, we didn't.
Well, yeah.
So, obviously, this is what the rules were. It ended up as a timed trial, but it wasn't classed as the actual run itself, was it? But we had to show it anyhow, okay? Because obviously, I mean, this is first ever run on this track, and this is what she did. I mean, look at that one. I think she was aware when she was racing that, you know, this car, you know, the Sovereign does actually spin out. She spun out on that corner, but she's done alright. She's avoided the wall, but yeah, a little bit
bit iffy there, but yeah, she slowed down a lot there. Yeah, back then she started rolling it, and the time's doing alright, isn't it now, wasn't it? Well, yeah, it was. I mean, obviously, she's a bit tweaky and she's having accidents hitting the wall and that. Well, I suppose hitting the wall there helped sort of get round, but it did slow her down if you were back to the straight, wasn't they? But her time is really brilliant here, as you can just see right on the edge that, yeah, she beat the Gibbs record, didn't she? You know, she's on the top of the scoreboard. Now, that wasn't actually class as a proper run, but this was a run. So she did it and beat these on the top scoreboard, if that was real. But now, she's going to attempt to do it again, properly now, won't it? And, yeah, we're going to be amazed, because obviously she's picked up on this. Yeah, she's really gone fast on that bend, and yeah, she's taking a bit cautious, because that would throw you out the thumbs and all that. Yeah, getting a bit airborne and all that lot. As you know, she's sort of using the dirt to sort of slide a bit, but yeah, she's had to slow down a lot, avoid that wall again, and she's got me and dead monster on top, didn't she? Yeah, she did actually. So yeah, now she's going to like try to Warriors and yeah, now this is a bit of a problem. Obviously you get a bit of a lift, but yeah, a little bit of a spin out, but not really, because it, you know, it helps to get round that corner really good. Time is really brilliant. Right. Well, yeah, it is actually. I mean, yeah, and this is her proper first vehicle she ever been on the SR9 test. And, yeah, that is a bit of a nuisance, the hill, but it's good, isn't it? Yeah, so, as you know, the Gimp might be upset because that was the time, and yeah, she even knocked 2 seconds off the last time, didn't she? Well, yeah, she did. So, that was brilliant. Well, as we all know, that she ended up being on top of the scoreboard, actually wiping the floor with the Gimp with the time. Maybe that's why Not So Tame Racing Driver is acting a little bit strange. Maybe this is why you're doing that.
I mean, he was trying to change its appearance.
And maybe with Robot Princess Bubblegum car, because we did introduce, you know, Miss Takeaway because of pink convertibles. There was the stigma of pink cars, and maybe you know why the Gimp is doing that. Yeah, but it don't explain what the Gimp's doing, the same as Captain Gorgeous. But the thing is, so as Miss Takeaway, so technically we all know how, you know, how the influence of James Bond can be. Yeah, but the thing is though, it don't explain why, or not, you know, on tame racing drivers, or not so tame racing drivers, are doing, like, imitating, you know, James Bond stunts, because the racing drivers, not stunt drivers, are they?
Well, yeah, but it's tempting. I mean, it looks interesting.
Well, somebody who didn't know anything about Bond.
Well, I know, but
look, don't be having a go at him, because we know Bond is quite a good influence. I mean, it's like Captain Gorgeous here, right? When we were explaining about the Fall Guy, it's got a parachuting car. Obviously, he's seen that episode of Bale and Bond, but he didn't know what it was actually about. And then there's Always Say Always. I mean, from, you know, taking the mick out and Never Say Never. But yeah, it had a lot of, like, the Fall Guy always had, sooner or later, vehicles going off cliffs, and you try to emulate stuff like that. So what are you trying to get at? Well, you were trying to emulate the Dr. No scene, weren't you? With Sean's Connery's first outing, you know, with his first car chase, and it had that rear projection, didn't it, or something, you know, when they filmed from the background, and you were emulating that, weren't you? Well, yeah, but I'm on a budget.
Yeah, but it did look funny.
You could shout, you, what? I'm trying to emulate. Yeah, but it everybody sort of mocks it and has a good giggle at it, but at that time when they were doing that movie, they only had like £1 million budget to make that, so they had to do it sort of on the cheap, and obviously, you know, you were doing it as well. Well, yeah, because it's a bit of blue tack, as you could see, and a bit cardboard and all that lot, and seeing that, it looks funny. What do you mean by that? Alright, because I'm trying to emulate James Bond, right? And that's how it was filmed, you know. Well, I'm not trying to take the mick out of you, but the thing is, it looks like you're trying to take fun out of it. Well, it is quite funny. Well, we were a different generation when that was made, but when we were growing up, The Fall Guy was filmed that way as well. Well, yeah, it's a TV series, so that had to be done on the cheap, didn't it? Well, yeah, but obviously, you know, they had big stunts in The Fall Guy, but obviously they still had that effect of, you know, having a spectacular crash, like throwing vehicles off cliffs, you know, because on that episode you got like that big bus scene, hadn't you? Well, yeah, and what you're trying to get at? Well, obviously with James Bond, when it came to big high car stunts, they didn't really have a stunt person like roll over a vehicle. The best option to make something really look good was simply push a car off a cliff, and that's what they did in that movie with that hearse scene, didn't they? Well, yeah, they did.
Is it that scene you told me there were blind people driving the hearse?
Yeah, and there's an obstacle in their way, and they avoid it.
Yeah, but how did they see that? They were blind, weren't they?
Well, yeah, they're blind, because obviously, as you see, they're wearing sunglasses.
What's that got to do with it?
Well, it makes things dark, doesn't it? So obviously, you know, with good vision, obviously they'll crash, won't they?
But why didn't they just stop?
Well, they had to chase after Bond, and Bond, right, you see that obstacle that looked like a crane or something? James Bond drives underneath that.
Alright, so that's where Bond went. So, what about why don't the bad guys do like movies do, you know, like drive the car underneath it and decapitate the roof off?
Well, yeah, but they'll get decapitated. And another thing, they don't want to upset their boss, because that was the problem with Mr. Dr. No, right? He expects his employees, right, if they sort of like do something to his cars, like, you know, James Bond's following a guy, right, in the back seat,
right,
and he has a fight with him, right, and then the guy takes cyanide tablets because I think he got the car dirty or he lost the fight, but you know, yeah, obviously he's going to lose the fight because you can see the powerful punches of James Bond, because, you know, he's got robotics in him and that.
What?
He hasn't. Yeah, later on, right, you know, in the film, right, he gets smart blood in him and he's got them nanobots in him and all that lot. Yeah, but that's a different movie, but yeah, it's still Bond, but it doesn't mean that Sean Connery's Dr. No Bond has got, you know, that special stuff in him, has he? I mean, he hasn't even got any gadgets in this movie.
Right, so his car's not got gadgets in it then?
Well, no, he hasn't.
So, right, so why don't the bad... You know, he has a gadget car though, doesn't he?
Oh yeah, he gets one later on. Yeah, and then later on bad guys get a gadget car and they come after him and all that lot.
Right, so why ain't they using gadget cars to get him then?
Well, that's later on. Not Top Gear, you know, mentioned.
Right.
Just show him play.
Right, big story for me this week comes from the world of film, and I'm not talking about Harry Potter, all right?
My children are talking about Harry Potter,
Yes.
nothing else but.
Yes, I know. Talking about James Bond, new film, Die Another Day. And great news, because after 15 years of unforgivable disloyalty, Bond is back in an Aston. And this is it! Bond's Aston Martin Vanquish. Now, obviously, a Bond car, it's got to do clever stuff, and it does. We've got the obligatory ejector seat in there, and then down here at the front, the grille drops down, and out come 2 machine guns, and then, oh, thank you, and then 4 missiles. Thank you.
4 missiles. Well, for once, Bond is completely outgunned by the baddie. This is his car, a Jaguar XKR, and it doesn't have 4 missiles in the front, it has 18 missiles that come out there. It also has spikes in the tyres, and we can peel down the bottom of the door here to reveal 2 heat-seeking missiles. It also has central locking. You can lock both doors and the boot with a simple press on a button on the key fob. Then behind the driver's seat and the passenger seat, it has a bulletproof screen which rises up like so. A Gatling gun, obviously. Listen to that. That's a great Bond noise, isn't it? I love things that do that. But the pièce de résistance is here, in the boot. Open it up. Mortar bombs in the back. Oh, love it.
You absolutely had to, didn't you? But that's just firepower. Bond has sophistication and brains on his side. So, yeah, the baddie fires his mortar bombs. From here emerge 2 shotguns, specially designed with a rather pitiful noise to shoot them out of the sky. But interestingly, it was those, along with the missiles at the front, that gave them a rather interesting problem when they built this car, because so much space was taken up that underneath here, you can see... Oh, there goes the guns. It's gone away. They had to get rid of the original V12 Aston Martin engine. It was too long, so they replaced it with this Mustang V8. It's that much shorter, there's more room.
And the really good news about that, of course, is because the Aston engine's gone, so's the stupid gearbox. Look, Bond gets a proper automatic, which is a good job, because, of course, if you had to do a 3-point turn with the stupid flappy paddles, the world would blow up by the time he'd finished.
Interestingly, despite the rather depressing difference in firepower between the 2 cars, under the surface they're really very similar. They've both got that same Mustang V8, and they've both been converted to 4-wheel drive, which they had to be, because in the film they have to be driven on ice. The thing that really excites all of us about this is that in this world of computer generation, they could have just got some boffin at a computer to type away and computer animate the things, but they didn't. They built them for real. Here they are, actual, real Bond cars in the metal.
The marriage between James Bond and Aston Martin is one of the greatest ever. Really, it was perfect. That photograph of Sean Connery leaning against his DB5 in the Alps, a publicity picture for Goldfinger, was just wonderful, really was. But I think it's fair to say that since then there has been an even better automotive marriage.
So James Bond was married to a car then, was he?
Well, no, he wasn't married to a car, but he did get married. It's like you've been trying to do that 2-wheel stunt on Diamonds Forever. Technically, that movie should have been a proper hardcore revenge movie, because that was so high tap, that. Yeah, but you should not tell him everything about the plot of James Bond. Yeah, but the thing is, right, you know, James Bond was after revenge after Ernest Blofeld had his wife assassinated. Right, you're giving out too much information. You're going to spoil it for Captain Gorgeous. It's not like he's going to get round watching them, is he? Well, technically that's where you're wrong, because our producers have thought of something very interesting. And another thing, they need a presenter what sort of needs to know at least about some James Bond vehicles. So they've got their own James Bond Virgin here.
What do you mean by that?
Well, you don't know much about James Bond at all, do you? And they want you to actually watch the James Bond movies.
But if my mum finds out, she'll go and put me in naughty corner.
Well, yeah, but we've been going to that shed and watching movies, haven't we?
Yeah.
So the producers are thinking you go and see some Bond movies. But, there is a but, They want you to be the guinea pig of actually watching the James Bond movies in Ian Fleming's book order as he wrote the James Bond stories. No, he can't be doing that. That's stupid, that. Why is that? Because Dr. No was the first film. But the first book was Casino Royale. Yeah, but that's weird, that movie. No, we're talking about the 2006 one. And that would be quite a good choice for Captain Gorgeous to first time watch his first ever Bond movie.
That'd be quite interesting, that. I'm looking forward to seeing a Bond movie. So everybody, on that film I haven't seen, it's time to end the show.
Hey, what? I end the bloody show.
No, I am now.